Sup lads, welcome back to another Lil Maguizy video on the Lil Maguizy channel. I am your host, Lil Maguizy. Today, we're going to take a look at a boy in a spider suit, a man who's a wizard and a doctor, and they go take on beings from other universes, such as a man with octopus legs, a man who's clinically insane probably, a man with electric, a sand dude, and a lizard. Let's do it, shall we? Spider-Man No Way Home, starring Tom Holland as Peter Parker slash Spider-Man, Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, Zendaya as MJ, Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, Jamie Foxx as Max Dillon slash Electro, Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn slash Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Dr. Otto Octavius slash Doc Ock, with Marissa Tomei as Aunt May and two surprise guests. Yeah. So basically, this shit starts off immediately after Far From Home, and Spider-Man's chased around by the press. It turns out Happy and May were dating, then they broke up, and for the third time, someone walks into Peter naked. And then they eventually see that there's helicopters and shit outside. Peter gets arrested, and then May demands a lawyer. And so fucking Daredevil from the fucking Daredevil show on Netflix shows up and says they're free of all charges, and then he grabs a brick because he's a really good lawyer. So then they move to somewhere else. They probably move to Happy's house or something. I don't fucking know. So basically, Peter, Ned, and MJ, they go and apply for MIT. They get their letters, they open it, but unfortunately, because of the recent conflict with Mysterio revealing Peter Parker's Spider-Man, they're not in. Very sad. So Peter goes to see Doctor Strange for help. Because, he feels like it's kind of his fault, so Doctor Strange casts a spell to make everyone forget that Peter Parker's Spider-Man. But then Peter fucks it up by saying, what about me? What about MJ? What about Ned? What about Happy? And then, Strange, the spell breaks, and, Strange kicks Peter out. But he has another opportunity to go to MIT. Then he goes to the bridge to talk to the MIT person. But then Doc Ock shows up, and then he's like, hello, Peter. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. And then, he tries to attack him because he thinks he's the Peter from his universe. Yeah. And so then Green Goblin from his same universe shows up, and then Strange casts them away and puts them in a cage. And Strange casts Doc Ock away and puts him in a cage, and then Norman. And then he finds a lizard dude, yeah? And so meanwhile, Norman Osborn destroys the Green Goblin helmet because he doesn't want to be the Green Goblin anymore. So then, but Strange captures him, and then Peter has a new stealth suit, so he swings up and then finds Electro and Sandman, aka Flint Marko, from different universes. Then they get captured by Strange. They're all stuck in there, and they explain where they're from. That Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Sandman are from the same universe, and Electro and the Lizard are from a different universe, and where they all died fighting Spider-Man. Yeah. And so, they go to a secret place, which is basically just Happy's place. And then Peter puts a chip on Doc Ock's arms, so he can go back to being somewhat normal after being, miserable. Because the arms made him miserable. So then eventually, Peter is like, he senses this strange feeling. And so then Norman Osborn takes on the Green Goblin persona and tries to murder Peter and destroys the whole place. And all the other villains escape. And so then Aunt May comes and tries to inject Norman Osborn with the cure, but then the Green Goblin gets his glider, and then Aunt May gets up and tells Peter the great power, responsibility, bullshit, all that, and then she falls on the ground, and then she dies. Rest in peace, Aunt May. So Peter is just sitting up there on a roof talking to JJ. Well, not really. He's just on the news. And so then MJ and Ned are sitting there. In Ned's granny's house. By the way, Doctor Strange is in the Grand Canyon because he tried to, send them back to the universe versus them dying. But then Peter decides to cure them. Anyway. So then Ned tries to get Peter back because he stole Strange's sling ring. So he tries to get Peter back. He opens a portal and he sees Spider-Man, but instead of their Spider-Man, it's fucking Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Yeah. And then Ned tries to open another portal to try and get their Peter back, but instead he opens the portal and then someone walks through and it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man from the original Spider-Man movies. And so then they go and find Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and then they go explain that some of their people died, and then they felt guilt, and so then they all went and tried to get, and so the three Spider-Man team up, and then they get a cure for them, and then they all go, and then all the villains come along and they all start attacking each other, and they're not very good at teamwork, and so Spider-Man explains, the whole process about teamwork. Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Spider-Man 1 is Tom Holland. Spider-Man 2 is Peter. Spider-Man 3 is Andrew. So, Tom, Tobey, Andrew. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so Spider-Man 1 explains... Peter 1, he explains the whole thing regarding, team up and shit. And so they do their best, and they swing, all three of them swing along, and they pose together for an action shot. Historic. And then they all attack the villains, and then Tobey cures Sandman. And if you can hear closely, the fucking Tobey Maguire Spider-Man theme can be played. So emotional. And it's literally just a fucking reused scene from Spider-Man 3, because I don't know where the fuck the actor was during this whole thing. And so then Peter 3 cures Max, Dillion, Electro, and then he's like, damn, I thought she'd be black. And then, and then Dr. Octopus comes back and then takes the thing out of Electro and then cures him. And then he's like, the power of the sun. And then Peter 2 shows up and they have a very heartfelt reunion with the Tobey Maguire theme in the background. It was quite emotional. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange comes out of the Grand Canyon and then, tries to fix everything. So meanwhile, the Green Goblin comes and takes Peter 1, and then Peter 1 just beats the living hell out of him and tries to stab him with the glider. But then Peter 2 holds up the glider, and then Green Goblin stabs Peter 2. No. And then, Peter cures Green Goblin, so all the villains are cured. And so then, eventually Peter 3 takes care of Peter 2, and then Peter 1 comes up to Doctor Strange and tells him that, he was sorry, and then Strange tries to, fix everything, and then he can't fix everything because it's too late. And then Peter asked him, what if everyone forgot who I was? Cast a new spell to make everyone forget who Peter Parker is. Everyone. And then Strange is like, yeah, it will work, but you have to understand that everyone who knows and loves you, we have no memory of you. So then Strange does it. The villains go back to their universes. The other two Spider-Man go back to their universes. Alternate reality where no one knows who Peter Parker is. And then Peter tries to go explain to MJ who he is, but he decides they're better off without him. So then Peter goes and gets an apartment, and then looks out the window, and then climbs out, and then makes a new Spider-Man suit because Stark Technology doesn't recognize him anymore. He visits May's grave. He wasn't invited to the funeral because no one recognizes him. So then Peter makes a new suit, and then he swings out. So then he swings into the night sky, and boom, that's it. After credit scene time, fucking Tom Hardy Venom from the Venom movies are there. And then they explain what the hell they're doing. They explain there was a purple alien who loves stones, and then they get transported back to their universes. So yeah. Other after credit scene, or should I say after credit tease, it teases the next movie, which is an adventure with Doctor Strange. Also, the credits is similar to the first two movies. Overall thoughts, it's fucking great. Most people are liking this just cause the old villains and the other two Spider-Men are back, but I like it. I just like it. It's great. I love it. It's a big step up from the last two movies. It's so weird to think of, the fact that people wanted Spider-Man in the MCU for so long, they finally got him, and then 5 years later, the other two Spider-Men show up. It's just surreal. Yeah. Join us next time where we take a look at a man. He's a wizard and a doctor, and a woman who can make these weird powers with her hands, and they travel through the vastness of the multiverse. Goodbye.